From Thom Hartmann's Daily Take Substack. If threatening to hang members of Congress isn't impeachable, what is? If Trump wants veterans in Congress killed for affirming U.S. law, doesn't that make him the very danger the founders warned would destroy the Republic? The kind impeachment was designed for? Published November 21st, 2025. The following is a song inspired by this article.
There's a storm rolling in from the heart of the land, where the oath we swore is slipping through our hands. Veterans stand tall, but he calls for their fall. We're speaking the law for answering the call. If threatening to hang members of Congress isn't impeachable, what is? How far do we go before we say no more of this? If a leader turns his fury on the people who defend us, tell me, what kind of country are we? And what becomes of justice? These are men and women who wore the uniform proud. Now he paints them as traitors to fire up his crowd. The founders warned us clear as the Liberty Bell of a man who traded the Constitution for power himself. If threatening to hang members of Congress isn't impeachable, what is? When the line gets crossed and freedom feels like a broken promise, if the ones who stood for country are the ones he wants to punish, tell me, America, what's left for us to cherish? Flag still flies, but the sky grows dim. If we don't stand now, who will stand for them?
Trump just called for the execution of American veterans, all of them also elected members of Congress, because they reminded our active duty soldiers that it's a violation of both American and international law to commit war crimes. If that's not impeachable, what is? This is his most dangerous and insane escalation yet, because it crosses a bright red line the founders themselves warned about. A president openly demanding the execution of members of Congress for telling U.S. service members to obey the law. And the horror of it isn't subtle. It's not, like in the days Nixon and Reagan, even coded. It's not even wink and nod stochastic terrorism. This is the President of the United States calling for hanging lawmakers by name for the, quote, crime, end quote, of reminding military personnel that their oath is to the Constitution, not to him. That is the precise scenario the founders feared when they warned that a would-be tyrant would try to transform the military from defenders of the Republic into enforcers of a single man's will. What these senators and representatives said in their video:
Senator Alyssa Slotkin,
Senator Mark Kelly,
Representative Chris DeLuzio,
Congresswoman Maggie Goodlander,
Representative Chrissy Houlihan,
Congressman Jason Crow.
I was a captain in the United States Navy,
former CIA officer,
former Navy,
Former paratrooper and Army Ranger.
former intelligence officer,
former Air Force,
we want to speak directly to members of the military
and the intelligence community.
Who take risks each day.
keep Americans safe.
We know you are under enormous stress and pressure right now.
Americans trust their military.
But that trust is at risk.
This administration is pitting our uniformed military,
And intelligence community professionals
Against American citizens.
like us. You all swore an oath.
to protect and defend this Constitution.
And right now, the threats to our Constitution aren't just coming from abroad.
But from right here at home.
Our laws are clear. You can refuse illegal orders.
You can refuse illegal orders.
You must refuse illegal orders.
No one has to carry out orders that violate the law.
Or our Constitution.
We know this is hard.
And that it's a difficult time to be a public servant.
But whether you're serving in the CIA,
In the Army.
Our Navy,
The Air Force.
Your vigilance is critical.
and know that we have your back.
Because now, more than ever,
The American people need you.
We need you to stand up for our laws.
our Constitution,
And who we are as Americans. Don't give up.
don't give up.
don't give up.
Don't give up the ship.
is not controversial, not partisan, and not new. It's bedrock American law. It's the Uniform Code of Military Justice. It's every ethics class, every commissioning oath, every baseline principle of civilian-controlled government in a constitutional republic. Trump's reaction, psychotic, paranoid, and dripping with bloodlust, makes one thing painfully clear. He's terrified of the military remembering who they actually work for. It also suggests an ominous future Trump may have planned when he turns our military against you and me, or uses it against a foreign nation so he can wiggle out of the growing questions about his 1990s teenage modeling agency, his Miss Teen USA pageant, and their possible connections to Jeffrey Epstein and child sex trafficking. The lawmakers who made that video are, to a person, military and combat veterans or intelligence professionals who've literally risked their lives for this country. Mark Kelly was shot at, launched into space, and flew combat missions over Iraq. Chrissy Houlihan served in the Air Force. Jason Crow was an Army Ranger. Chris DeLuzio is a Navy vet. Alyssa Slotkin spent years as a CIA analyst overseeing Iraq policy. These aren't armchair patriots. They're the real thing. So, when Donald Trump, who faked bone spurs to dodge Vietnam, calls for them to be executed, it tells you something profound. He wouldn't be flipping out like this unless he intends to give orders like that. Everything about this situation is a rerun of January 6th, for which he's already been impeached, only with the stakes ratcheted up. Trump has already learned that violent language produces violent followers. He watched it happen in real time. He saw his crowd beat police officers bloody, hunt for Mike Pence, and smash their way through the Capitol while chanting about hanging elected officials. As I mentioned yesterday about the attacks on Marjorie Taylor Greene, he knows his movement is filled with men eager to, quote, carry out the punishment, end quote, for him. Chuck Schumer's warning that Trump is lighting a match in a country soaked in gasoline isn't a metaphor. It's a sober assessment grounded in hard experience. And now Trump is testing the waters again, seeing how far he can go, how hard he can push before America pushes back. Consider what these lawmakers actually said in their video. Follow lawful orders, refuse unlawful ones, and remember your oath is to the Constitution. That's the opposite of sedition. It's literally the definition of military ethics in a democratic society, right out of the Uniform Code of Military Justice, American law, international law, and even the Nuremberg trials. Fox's commentator, Andy McCarthy, hardly a liberal, made this clear. Quote, "There is no insurrection or sedition without the use of force. Disobeying a lawful order is insubordination, not insurrection or sedition. Disobeying an unlawful order is required," end quote. Veterans and members of Congress telling soldiers to obey the law? That's the American system working. But Trump immediately interpreted it as a threat to himself and his agenda. Not to our country, not to political or military norms, to him personally. That should reveal to every American with half a brain who this man really is and what his plans really are. The cries of, quote, "hang them," end quote, and, quote, "punishable by death," end quote, aren't policy positions. They're the words of an out-of-control authoritarian, a wannabe dictator, a man intent on destroying the rule of law and the American Republic that's been based on it for over 2 centuries. They're the gut-level reactions of a man who thinks loyalty should flow upward to his person, not outward to the nation. And it's not a one-off. This is a Trump pattern that necessitates impeachment. This is the same Trump who demanded the execution of General Milley, the same Trump who organized or encouraged chants of, quote, "hang Mike Pence," end quote, the same Trump whose follower mailed pipe bombs to Democratic leaders, the same Trump who says generals should be shot, newspapers and TV networks shut down, and political opponents imprisoned, who calls soldiers who died in battle, quote, "suckers and losers," end quote. Stephen Miller, who also avoided military service like every man in the Trump family, shrieking that veterans should, quote, "resign in disgrace," end quote, for stating U.S. law, is the purest illustration of an authoritarian mindset straight out of 1930s Germany. Loyalty is owed to the leader, he suggests, not to the Constitution. And the moment someone asserts otherwise, they're a traitor. And Fox, quote, News, end quote, is giving Miller a platform to do it without even trying to push back or defend American values of the rule of law is unspeakable, which brings us to Republican Senator Rand Paul's remarkable admission. Republicans are, quote, afraid, end quote, to cross Trump. They're terrified of Trump's base, the Confederate flag wavers, the well-armed bros, terrified because Trump has conditioned those men, virtually all of the violence has come from right-wing men, to see critique or embrace the rule of law as betrayal, and betrayal as punishable. Senator Chris Murphy is right. You can't negotiate with a party whose operating principle is, quote, wait and see what Trump wants, end quote. As he noted yesterday in response to Trump's call to kill Democratic lawmakers, quote, if you're a person of influence in this country and you haven't picked a side, maybe now would be the time to pick a fucking side, end quote. We now have a major political party that openly accepts their president calling for the execution of lawmakers who simply restate the Constitution, and a White House spokeswoman who pathetically backs him up. Trump isn't just attacking political rivals. He's asserting that the American military's loyalty belongs to him personally, and that those who contradict him should be killed. That is the exact formula the founders designed the Constitution to prevent. That's not normal political dysfunction. This is a republic confronting its own death throes. The heartening part, the only heartening part, is the response from the lawmakers themselves. These elected officials understand the stakes. They know the oaths they took aren't merely symbolic. They know that stopping this modern-day right-wing fascism depends on we the people, standing up, speaking out, and refusing to be intimidated while we support members of our military, from the most senior levels to the lowest privates, in their refusing to follow illegal orders. Trump wants a military that obeys him, not the rule of law. That's why he's screaming for the deaths of these congressional veterans. It's also why Congress must impeach him. Now! These veterans in Congress reminded the members of our military that their duty is the exact opposite of Trump's demand for unthinking, unquestioning fealty to illegal orders. No democracy survives that.